and welcome to Radio Icebox, Season 2, Episode 6, Breaker Dancing. And thank you so much for downloading and listening today. We do want to thank some of our special members who make these shows possible. Our patron of the episode, that is, of course, our member of Patreon, is Heather Lucas. Thank you so much, Heather. Our members we want to recognize today, Penny Judkins and Scott Likely, voting members of the Icebox Radio Theater. And our super members today, those are folks that are both members of Patreon, patrons of Patreon, I should say, as well as voting members of the Icebox Radio Theater, are Paul and Sheila Totoni. Thank you so much, folks, for all you've done for the Icebox Radio Theater. And now, without further ado, here is Season 2, Episode 6 of Radio Icebox, Breaker Dancing.
It's 6 a.m. The sun should be coming up and, well, let's not think about that. It's time to begin our broadcast day here at Radio Icebox, Minnesota. Weather, winter at all, you know, it's interesting. Most people would think you get used to winter here. Most people would be wrong. But here at our little station, we're going to do our best to brighten your day. Cody's going to be along as my co-host in a little bit once he finishes knocking ice off the transmitter tower. So everyone just say a quick prayer that he gets down safely. We'll also have an interview with old Pierre, and don't forget there's a new episode of our series Bush Pilot tonight on Play of the Day. All that and more on Radio Icebox. Hi, it's Woody again. So we got a bunch of new ice fishing rods in the store if you think you need something like that. Me, I've been fishing in the winter with a bunch of line wrapped around a hunk of wood for 30 years, so I don't see no need to change. Maybe you do, so come down and see how much money you can spend on a rod that's 8 inches long. That didn't come out right. Anyway, we got power augers too. Now here's an advancement I can get behind. Used to go out with a spoon and cut a hole in the ice with Grandpa. He'd sit on a bucket and drink schnapps while I cut the hole. Daylight was half gone before we were even fishing. So, I forget where I was going with this. Anyway, come down and look at stuff. Maybe buy something.
Woody's Bait Shop and Guide Service on Beach Avenue in Icebox. Open alternating Tuesdays 1 to 5.
Come to think of it, I think we got one of those old spoons in back. Buckets, too. And schnapps.
Woody's!
All right, it's a little after 6, and Cody's come inside. How we looking on the roof? Okay, well, Cody's giving me a nearly frozen thumbs up, so it sounds like things are okay. Cody, you warm up enough there to do the weather in a bit. I'll start with announcements. Let's see. Recovering Catholic's casino trip has been postponed. Apparently Gary's van is in the shop again. There's going to be a meeting today at 10 at the Busy Bee to see if they can get enough people to carpool. Major Rideau, Cody's grandpa and our founder here at Radio Icebox, would like to tell everyone that he was wrong about the hot spot behind his house. It's not a sauna or a natural hot spring. He's not sure what it is, but don't come near it. Without lead-lined pants, it says.
JJ?
Cody's thought out enough to speak. Yes, sir.
Grandpa gave me an update. Just don't go near his house until he can figure out what's going on back there.
Should we call the authorities?
Well, it's Grandpa we're talking about, so I'm pretty sure the authorities have him under surveillance.
Oh, you weren't kidding?
No.
Okay,
Pete Peterson.
Right. The Peterson's garage sale on Saturday has been changed to a silent auction. I guess he's claiming to have artifacts from ancient Egypt. Is that legal?
He claims to have a time machine, but I've seen his prototype. Pretty sure he bought the artifacts at the museum gift shop in the cities.
Okay, well, worth checking out anyway. Weather?
Gonna warm up to 10.
Good.
Stay there for a couple of days. No snow in the forecast.
Hey, that is really good news. How are the ice conditions?
12 inches and safe for sleds out by old Pierre's place. The shinny rink out by the beach is fine, over 8 inches. And Dougie Olmquist claimed he made all the way across the lake on his sled and only broke through once. I think it's still a little thin out by the Space Rock.
Okay, recent observations, 5 above in Icebox, 6 in International Falls, minus 14 Celsius in Fort Francis. Environment Canada predicted intermittent pride and envy as Canadians look to their neighbors to the south, while the National Weather Service reports widespread indifference through most of the country where neighbors are concerned.
Almanac. On this day in 1973, there was hamburger all over the highway in Mystic, Connecticut.
Good times. Hey, I'm gonna go look at the news.
A terrible idea.
I know, but what are you gonna do? News next.
Winter is here, and there's no better place to endure it than the Icebox Municipal Liquor Store and Public Library. We have all the best sellers, including the latest from Stephen King, J.K. Rowling, James Patterson, and Johnny Walker. Check out our periodical section with a pint of Guinness. Reference goes great with Jell-O shots, and don't forget our new religious fiction section, the perfect complement to an evening over mulled wine. There's always something to read and always something to drink at the Liquor Library.
Winter Festival now going on at the Liquor Library. Bring back your empties to pay off fines until February 28th. Time now for news headlines from Radio Icebox. This is Turn Me Deadman reporting. Police continue their search today for Charles Rogers of Houston, Texas, who was wanted for questioning in association with a human head found in the shack he was using behind the home of local historian and Radio Icebox playwright Roger Graves. Details of Rogers' escape are not being released, but Police Chief Sam, along with county authorities, did go on the record as saying it would probably be better if people did not approach Rogers if they spot him. He is a thin man in his 60s with a crew cut, probably underdressed for the weather, described as being generally melancholy or distracted. Dr. Graves can offer little help to authorities, as he just met the suspect himself a few days ago, though he did offer the opinion that Rogers appeared to be very tidy for a murderer. In other news, a dinette set belonging to Mrs. Lois Howell of 3rd Street disappeared from her dining room Tuesday and reappeared 17 miles away in a remote section of the lake shore near the cabin of Scruffy Martinez. Mrs. Howell claims to have awoken to a strange noise early Tuesday morning. When she investigated, she discovered her dinette set, a 1979 purchase from the Sears Roebuck catalog, missing. The dinette was discovered by hikers the next day in the remote location in perfect order and set for 4. Mrs. Howell has no idea where the ham and scalloped potatoes found on the table came from, and Martinez, reached by phone at his winter home in Juarez, Mexico, could offer no explanation for the prank. Police are baffled, but suggested that Mrs. Howell take the free ham and try to forget.
Coming soon to Radio Icebox, tales of adventure, tales of excitement, tales of the great outdoors.
So we put in down by the dam, probably fished for half an hour. John, he brought in a walleye, but it weren't in the slot, and I got a couple of pretty good crappies.
The heart-pounding excitement of sportsmen overcoming the brutal elements for adventure.
I seen where John got his shack fixed up for opening weekend.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. Got a satellite dish and everything.
Hear dramatized stories of man versus nature in the most dangerous game.
So the biff hooked up to the water tank?
Oh, yeah. We try and save the water, though. If it's brown, flush it down.
If it's yellow, leave it mellow. Right, I got it.
Tales of the great outdoors, coming soon to Radio Icebox.
So what's the Wi-Fi here?
It's Shack 123.
Oh, okay, then.
Hey, everybody. I'm not sure if you can hear that in the background, but we still have the continuing singing pipe problem here at the studio. Hang on. Yeah, that's for real. That's actually what happens here at Radio Icebox when the temperature goes up and down. What are you going to do? It's a 100-year-old building. Again, we don't particularly have any way of like paying for fixing this problem, so we're reaching out to those of you who are making use of this brand new free internet wireless thing that we're providing for the community, at least the community that can pick up our wireless signal here in the parking lot at the Opera House and also the Liquor Library across the street. And it's called audible.com. They sell like audiobooks. I hope you can hear that. It's really getting loud. And they have a deal where if you actually sign up for the service where you can get a free audiobook and even a free month of their service, we get a little kickback, basically. And it's audibletrial.com/IBRT. That's audibletrial, the whole world.com/IBRT. Again, if you've never done a website, visited one or anything like that, we understand we don't have internet here in town except for ours, which we have at the Opera House for reasons that I just soon not go into right now. Just find a teenager and ask about how they work. But it's really pretty simple. They will need a credit card number. But the most important thing is you get a lot of fantastic audio entertainment, and we get help with the singing pipes. And the audio entertainment could be anything. Could be horror stories, could be Romances could be classic nonfiction. What do you like to read? Well, you can listen to it now, and you don't need to worry about switching out CDs or even cassette tapes in the car. It's the best way to listen to books on tape that doesn't involve a library card here in Icebox, Minnesota. And again, that's audibletrial.com/IBRT. Really would help us out, and we could possibly get those pipes fixed before spring. audibletrial.com/IBRT.
Here are some items of community interest for the greater Icebox listening area. The county sheriff, in cooperation with the Icebox Police Department, will be starting an Explorer Scout program in Icebox beginning next month. The program is intended for boys and girls ages 13 to 18 and does require permission by a parent or guardian. Though sanctioned through a national organization, Police Chief Sam wants all parents to know that our local chapter will teach the Scouts the nuances of dealing with the kinds of problems we have here locally. Icebox Explorer Scouts will learn paranormal relations, proper use and cleaning of a flux capacitor, identifying benign lights in the woods as opposed to the other kind, and basic cryptozoology. The program is free, but does require Scouts to sell 1 box of candy bars before March 31st. A candle-making class will be offered at the Municipal Library and Liquor Store this Saturday afternoon from 3 to 6. Learn all about the art of mixing, scenting, and coloring wax for decorative candles that brighten any home decor. Cost for the class is just $5 for regular candles, $10 if you'd like to mount your candle on the top of a stone gargoyle, and $25 if you'd like to mount it on a human skull for the classic Lovecraft book cover look. Please, no outside skulls allowed.
Good evening, and time now for a little excitement on a cold winter's eve. Mark Black is back in another tale of adventure in the skies above northern Ontario with Bush Pilot by our good friend and neighbor Dave Erwin. Tonight, part 1 of Early Arrival.
We go back to the days when this region was largely unexplored. Small towns across the north were only accessible by tedious train journeys, and often, where the tracks ended, so did civilization. Lakes and rivers had been the North's only roads for a millennium, navigated by canoe in summer and snowshoes or dog teams in winter. Then to the hinterland came the bush plane, carrying people and freight to places where no roads exist or men had ever seen. The men who jockeyed these planes were a breed unto themselves. Many had learned their flying skills in the hostile skies over Europe. The more adventurous types, who hated the restraints of rule books and scheduled flights, drifted north and became that unique breed of independent and often ornery fellows known as the Bush Pilot. Tonight's story, Early Arrival.
So, did you hear one about the preacher and the pilot, Gert?
$8 for 6?
Oh, no. It's too early in the day for one of your bad jokes, boss.
Plus delivery? How much is that going to cost me?
No. This is a good one. You'll see.
Oh, okay. You kind of got me over a barrel here.
Promises.
You guarantee they will be delivered before 5. Her shift ends at 5.
All right, now this preacher is standing in line waiting for St. Peter to let him through the pearly gates. And behind him is standing this scruffy bush pilot looking for all the world like Mark over there.
No. You will not call me when they are delivered or send the bill. I'll come in and pay for them myself, in person.
What is that boy up to?
Well, anyway, St. Peter gets this big grin on his face and waves the pilot past the preacher, gives him a big old pat on the back saying, "Welcome, welcome." Well, then St. Peter hands the pilot this dazzling white fur-trimmed robe, a halo of pure gold polished to within an inch of its life.
Mark's whispering into the phone like he was trying to arrange bail for his grandmother.
What? No, okay. So St. Peter ushers the pilot into heaven with a big fanfare of trumpets. Then St. Peter turns to the preacher and mumbles, "Good to see you," and with hardly a second glance...
What was all that about Marcus?
And as I was saying, St. Peter hands the guy this threadbare old robe and a tarnished brass halo and waves the preacher through to the toot of a kid's tin horn.
Nothing, Gert, nothing.
Then the preacher gets really riled up. He turns to St. Peter and says, "How come that scruffy pilot got such a big reception? He a war hero or something?"
Come on, kiddo. What's the state secret? You can tell old Gert.
The preacher brags why I had the biggest congregation in the city. I preached every Sunday for 50 years to a full house.
Go away, Gert. Don't you have any typing to do? Where's my manifest?
So then the preacher asked, "What did that pilot ever do compared to my years of service?" And St. Peter...
Don't go changing the subject with me, young fella. Betcha it's a girl.
Gert, Mark. St. Peter says it's not about the length of time in service, it's the results that count up here. You preach dull, boring sermons every Sunday, while most of your parishioners slept in their pews. But this guy, why, I tell you, every time he took a plane up, every passenger aboard was earnestly praying the entire trip. And furthermore, their joyful praises upon arriving in one piece was an inspiration to all of us here.
Sorry, Ben, what's that?
Oh, never mind. Forget it.
Well, that was better than most of your stories, boss. Now, Mark, you were going to tell old Gert?
Nosy old busybody.
Can't keep a secret around here, you know. Gert knows all, sees all, hears all.
Does somebody want to tell me what's going on around here?
Nothing, boss.
I got the freight all weighed up, Gert. Hey, who died?
Don't worry, Tim. The boss just told another of his jokes. We're still recovering.
Hey, little respect here.
And Mark has a girlfriend.
Oh, you finally asked that nurse out, eh? You send her the flowers like I suggest?
Button it, Tim. Time for you to supervise loading.
Oops, what did I say? Yes, indeed. Time to supervise loading.
Ha-ha! I knew it. I can read you like a book, Mr. Black.
And here I thought a man's personal life was personal. But nothing stops Gert when she gets into high gear.
Well, you know who to call for motherly advice, Mark.
Yeah, Gert. Ben.
Oh, you wound me to the quick, Mark.
Gert, go easy on the poor guy. You know how sensitive he is.
But it's so easy getting his goat, and just too much fun to stop now. Besides, if I quit, he might think I've come down with something.
You mean like compassion, maybe?
Oh, you're just mad because I didn't laugh at your dumb joke.
One of these days, Alice, kapow, right in the kisses.
Oh, sure, I'm quaking in my boots.
Mm-hmm.
You're back early, Mark.
Yep, good tailwind on the return leg.
I got good news and bad news. Which do you want first?
Okay, ruined my day. Bad news first?
Some girl called here for you. Sounded a lot like that pretty little nurse you nearly killed last winter. She wanted to apologize for having to cancel your date tonight. Something about work.
Oh, thanks, Gert. The good news?
Health Services called and arranged a mercy flight to a remote settlement for self-same nurse to get a patient tomorrow afternoon, and dear old Gert persuaded Ben to give you the charter. If you want it, that is.
Me? Tomorrow. Sure.
All mush under that tough exterior. Border Flying Service, what can I do for you? Mark, He won't be in until after lunch. Can I take a message, miss? Your head nurse just told you that a doctor is replacing you on the flight this afternoon? Certainly, miss. I will tell him when he arrives. I'm sure he will be very disappointed indeed, miss. Is there anything else you would like me to pass along? What? He told you to say that? Well, I never. Thank you, miss. I'll be sure to give your message to Mr. Black the very minute he arrives. Just you wait, young Marcus. I've a bone to pick with you.
Is this your first Mercy flight, Doc?
It's Dr. Esterhazy. The third, if you don't mind. And in this godforsaken country, yes, it is. But I'll have you know I've logged nearly 100 hours in light planes in Alaska. I own a Cessna of my own. On floats, you know.
Well, that's great. So I shouldn't have to remind you again that you need to fasten your seatbelt since we are heading into some turbulence.
I have my patient to attend to. That's my priority. Yours is to fly this plane.
Just saying. She hasn't let out a peep since she boarded. Looks comfortable enough at present. Is it necessary to keep hopping around in here every 2 minutes? In my limited experience, patients usually let everyone in the plane know if they have any sudden changes in condition, especially the really pregnant ones.
Yes, exactly. In your limited experience. I trained at Johns Hopkins, for your information.
Hey, you're the boss, doctor. I barely passed the first aid course, but I have flown nearly 50 of these pregnant girls out of the bush in the last 5 years. You're here to help her when necessary, and if you get hurt bouncing around inside this tin can, you're no good to anyone.
I'm also an experienced pilot, remember?
Good for you. I get incapacitated, you can fly us all home. You get hurt, I'm no use to you or her, unless all she needs is a Band-Aid. How many Mercy flights did you say you've done, if I might ask?
This is my first. However, I'm a highly qualified obstetrician.
That's what I thought. I'm sure your patient is reassured having such a qualified professional if she needs help. Bet you dime Sedonis there's a nasty little storm cell hidden in this cloud bank. Again, Doctor, you'd better buckle up. Oh, perfect. Idiot smacked his noggin on the control column, and he's out like a light. Oh, I gotta get him off the controls, quick! There. Are you okay in back, miss?
Fine. Getting bumpy, eh? You don't look so good. You gonna be okay?
He's got a hard head, so don't you worry. We will get you to the hospital safe and sound. Let me know if you need anything right away. At least till Sleeping Beauty here wakes up, okay? CF-251 to base. CF-251 to base. Do you read me? Over?
Hi. This is, Tim. Base here. Read you loud and clear. What can I do for you, Mark? Over.
CF-251. Well, look who's minding the Radio Shack. Listen, Tim, old boy. You need to get through to the hospital and tell them their flying doctor knocked himself silly, so if he doesn't wake up before we arrive, they might need 2 stretchers waiting at the dock. The idiot probably gave himself a concussion. Oh, and let them know if anything else goes haywire before then. I may need some quick advice. Our ETA is 40 minutes. Over.
Okay. Got that, CF-251. Let the hospital know the doc is out for the count, and they gotta stand by in case anything else happens. Roger. Mark? Good news. Ben has just come in the door. We'll call the hospital, see if we can patch him through or something. Over.
Good man, Timmy. We'll make a radio operator out of you yet. Let the boss know, okay? You know how Ben stews about everything. CF-251, out.
CF-251, I heard that, Mark. Flying's your job, worrying's mine. Do I tell you how to do your job? Over.
CF-251, all the time, boss, all the time. Over and out. How's everything back there, miss? Everything okay?
I wish my Kokum was here. She used to deliver all the babies in the village, but that doctor said she would just be in the way.
Yeah, I'm sorry, too. Some folk have no common sense despite years of education. Your grandma has probably forgotten more about delivering babies than this guy will ever learn. He just doesn't like to listen.
I'm okay, but I've been having these strong pains for a while. My Kokum said it's normal, so I didn't say anything, but they've been getting worse now.
What? How long?
They started last night, but now they're a lot stronger.
Okay, miss. My name's Mark. What's yours?
Well, in English, it means Morning Star.
That's an awfully pretty name, Morning Star.
My Kokum just calls me Star.
Morning Star, I'm wishing your grandmother was here right now, too. But you and me will do just fine. You said something a minute ago. I missed it.
Oh, just call me Star, please. I was saying the pains come about every 2 minutes. Not much rest now between them. It feels like something spilled on the seat. It's so wet where I'm sitting.
Okay, Star. Just try to relax. Doc. You need to wake up now. He's out for the count. Forget him, Mark. You're on your own. CF-251 to base. Do you read? I'm still 30 minutes out and my passenger's water just broke. Over.
Will the doctor revive enough to help? How will Mark make the hospital in time? Will Morning Star and her baby be safe? Listen for the next exciting episode of The Bush Pilot on a podcast near you.
Radio Icebox will be back with the rest of the story right after this. It can be in the sound of the orchestra preparing, or in the sound of a sculptor working in stone, or even in the sound of laughter from inside a theater. It is the sound of art being created, and for over 3 decades, the sound of art being created has rung loud and clear in northeastern Minnesota. The Arrowhead Regional Arts Council has been encouraging local arts development in northeastern Minnesota through grants and services for over 35 years. Every year, they give out more than $500,000 to local artists and arts organizations, and that helps create $40 million in revenue and jobs created. To find out more about our arts programs or how you can get involved, visit aracouncil.org. The Arrowhead Regional Arts Council, where the arts flourish, you thrive.
Just about there. Maybe 5 more minutes.
Thanks, Grandpa.
Don't mention it.
Where exactly are you two hoping this little exercise will lead us?
To Mr. Rogers, of course.
But I thought you said he went to another dimension.
He did. Disappeared into a dimensional portal, probably of his own design.
Okay, I thought there were an infinite number of dimensions.
There are, theoretically.
But doesn't that mean you're looking for a single needle in an infinite number of haystacks?
First things first. And the first thing is getting this device working. Then we can worry about which dimension he's hiding in.
Besides, Grandpa theorizes that dimensions, which are close to each other, are similar.
Like the prison dimension from last season.
From last what?
Never mind. We think Rogers must be hiding in a dimension close to ours. That should make him much easier to find.
We have to find a dimension that supports human life and has a much slower time signature.
That's how he's aged so little since 1965. He was in a dimension with slower time than ours.
How else could a man who should be 93 look like he's in his 60s?
I can think of some other reasons for that.
What?
Well, diet, nutrition. Oh, and the obvious reason,
What obvious reason?
That he's clearly not the icebox killer.
Oh, I don't know. There's a lot of coincidences.
What? Rogers is a common enough surname. The guy has a vaguely southern accent, but that doesn't mean he's from Houston.
Like I said, coincidences.
He's not the same guy, Major.
You're forgetting the big thing.
What big thing?
The biggest thing, Sam. The human head in the refrigerator? That's the icebox killer's M.O.
A little too much of a coincidence to be a coincidence.
Yeah, well, it wasn't the only time that's happened. The icebox case was fairly famous, and weirdos commit copycat crimes all the time.
You don't know this guy like I do.
What's that supposed to mean?
I've been doing research for the past week. Did you know Charles Rogers was a genius? An engineer and a geologist. They say he could find oil anywhere.
So?
So, who better than an engineer to figure out how to build a time travel device? Seriously, Sam. The man killed his parents, then simply disappeared.
You'd be surprised how often people get away with murder. Besides, this all happened in 1965. Forensics wasn't even a science yet, and Rogers was a licensed pilot living only a few hours' flight from the Mexican border. He was probably out of the country before they even found out what he'd done. See? You're not the only one that can do research. And if you know everything about him, why don't you know about his death?
Alleged death.
I don't know. Hugh Gardner says he's dead.
Who's Hugh Gardner?
Literally the man who wrote the book on Charles Rogers. He says Rogers was killed during a labor dispute with oil workers in Honduras.
Which was never proven.
Regardless, a murdering geologist dying in a fistfight is a lot more plausible than a time traveler coming back to... Why exactly do you think he's here?
What do you mean?
Well, it just occurred to me. You have this crazy theory about dimensional travel and whatever, but you never really did explain why Charles Rogers, the real Charles Rogers, would come here to Icebox.
Well, given another 5 minutes and a fully charged battery, you can go and ask him, Sam.
How much longer do you think they're going to be in there?
No idea. Ironically, time travel can take a lot of time.
Okay, well, there's Barb's script to think about.
I don't think I can be creative right now.
Me neither. So, did you think it was going to be like this?
I've been ruminating on that a lot.
Oh.
I mean, no, in a word. I didn't think I'd be chasing aliens and dealing with ghosts when I took this job.
Oh, JJ.
I mean, it's interesting. I just never really prioritized interesting when it came to work. I was more of a comfort and calm guy. Teaching really looked that way when I started. The safe route. You know why I didn't just go into journalism right from the start?
No, but I wasn't...
It was the thought of the deadlines that scared me to death. What would I do if I couldn't get the interview or the quote or whatever? What if I couldn't get the story at all? Or get it written in time? I mean, journalists are dying out now, but in those days it was a real job. You could really make a difference if you could do the job.
And you didn't want to make a difference?
Well, I wasn't against making a difference if it was, safe. I just really wanted to go home at 5 o'clock and watch TV. It seemed like I could do that more regularly with teaching than anything else.
I thought you told me teachers worked overtime every week.
Good teachers do. I was not a good teacher. I was the kind that took the cushiest jobs and kept out of people's way.
Well, this is fascinating.
I'm glad you're interested.
But this wasn't what I was talking about.
What?
A bit ago, I asked you if you thought it was going to be like this.
Uh-huh.
I was referring to us.
Oh.
Did you think it was going to be like this at the end?
Are we at the end?
I think we both know we are, JJ.
Yeah, well, I suppose.
I didn't think it would be like this.
Like what?
Amicable?
It's not been your experience in the past?
Well, I haven't had that many relationships, but they did tend to end dramatically.
Well, it's the way it is with me, bland and amicable.
So, you did think it would be like this?
What I thought, Abby, is that you were a very special woman and I didn't deserve you. So whatever time we had together, I took as a gift.
Oh.
And you should probably move on to someone with, just one chin.
It's not your weight,
Yeah, but my physique is emblematic. It's my soul that's flabby.
I don't know. After last year, I think you're pretty amazing.
Thank you. You're pretty amazing, too. So,
Yeah.
you think they finished the time machine?
Recent events suggest yes.
Come on.
Stand back!
Okay.
Is that thing safe?
No.
It's perfectly fine.
No, it's not.
We're not going to do anything. It's just a test.
A test for what? To see if it was gonna fry all the wiring in town?
Among other things, yes.
What do you expect it to do?
I've layered a lot of power converters here. If there's enough, it should open a tiny portal like the one our killer stepped through.
Well, what?
Don't worry. It will be less than a centimeter in diameter and only stay open a second. We're just proving the concept.
Oh, okay, but one thing.
What?
Can the wiring in this old building handle it?
Oops.
Oops. What oops?
We kind of tripped a breaker there, or maybe melted it.
I'll go check.
Are we off the air? Oh my God, we're off the air.
I'll go get the Jenny going first thing.
I'll get to the studio and make sure we don't have a surge. Abby?
Phones, I know. And there they are.
Tell them we'll be back on in 5, maybe less.
Okay.
All right, I'll get down to the studio and... Wait, we're back on? We're back on! That was fast.
Hey everybody, this is DJ Skynet letting you know we'll be back on the air real soon.
That's Cody's automated program?
Yeah, it cuts in whenever we have a power outage.
No, we have a special request for us. A request we must obey, obey, obey.
Is it supposed to sound like that?
Like what?
Crazy?
DJ Skynet has now the sirens. We are many for we are one.
What did it say?
Something about being the sirens?
The what?
The sirens. Prepare for the coming war. All will soon be made clear.
I think I better get down to the studio.
Yes, I think you'd better.
Prepare. Prepare. The conflict is coming. Prepare. Prepare. The conflict is coming. Prepare.
This has been Radio Icebox Season 2, Episode 6, Breaker Dancing. Featuring Ayla McIntosh as Abby, Jim Yunt was Sam, Tom Bement played Major, Jeffrey Adams was JJ, and Cody Boyer as Cody. Our play this episode was Bush Pilot, Episode 3, Early Arrival, Part 1. And it starred Jim Yunt as Mark Black, Jeffrey Adams as Ben, Cody Boyer as Tim, Diane Adams as Gert, Douglas Screef was Dr. Esterhazy and your narrator, and introducing in our play, Marilyn Erwin as Morningstar. Some sound effects from the Freesound Project at freesound.org. A complete list of music and sound effect credits is available at iceboxradio.org/credits. The Icebox Radio Playhouse theme is Monkeys Spinning Monkeys by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. Radio Icebox Season 2 is made possible in part by the voters of Minnesota through a grant from the Arrowhead Regional Arts Council, thanks to appropriations from the Minnesota State Legislature's General and Arts and Cultural Heritage Funds.
Und sie weiß es ganz genau. Ich bin ihr untergeben und auch so unterlegen. Ich hab's kapiert, nur die Schärfsten überleben.